My name is Elena Carter. I'm 32 years old. I fumbled for my phone
Alex,
with
oh my
bloody
God, what
fingers.
happened?
It's bad.
The screen
You need to
cracked
get to
but
St.
still
Mary's
worked.
now.
I'm in an
I
ambulance.
dialed Mom.
I'm coming.
She picked up on the fourth
Alex,
ring.
Oh my God, what happened?
Elena, we're about to head out. What's wrong?
In an ambulance.
Her voice was clipped, like I was interrupting something exciting. Mom, I was in a car accident. Bad one. They're saying surgery, internal injuries. Please, can you and Dad come get Mia and Noah? The sitter leaves soon. I don't have anyone else right now. Silence. Long silence. I heard Dad in the background asking who it was. Then Ethan's voice, my older brother, laughing about something on the TV. The line muffled, voices overlapping. Then it went quiet. A moment later, my phone vibrated. Text in the family group chat. From Mom. Elena, you've always been so dramatic and needy. We have front row tickets to Ethan's championship game tonight. We've been planning this for months. Figure it out yourself. Dad followed immediately. You work in a hospital. You know how this stuff goes. Don't turn it into a bigger crisis than it is. Ethan sent one emoji, a shrugging person. I stared at the screen. Rain streaked across the ambulance windows. The siren wailed. And something inside me just stopped. It wasn't anger, not even sadness at first. It was recognition, like finally seeing the room you've lived in your whole life and realizing the door was unlocked the entire time. The trauma nurse who met us at the bay was Sarah, my friend from the ward. She saw my face, saw the phone still in my hand, read the messages over my shoulder. Her eyes filled. She didn't say anything dramatic, just squeezed my hand once, then took over. She called the emergency sitter service I'd used once before for overnight shifts, explained everything in calm, professional sentences, authorized the triple rate from my card, coordinated the handoff with my regular sitter, all while they wheeled me toward the OR. Before they put me under, she leaned close. You're not alone tonight, Elena. I've got you. The kids are safe. The surgery lasted almost 3 hours. 3 cracked ribs, bruised lung, small laceration to the liver that needed repair. They told me later I was lucky. Another inch and it could have been much worse. I spent 6 days in the hospital. IV antibiotics, pain meds that made everything fuzzy. Nurses checking vitals every 4 hours. Not one call from my parents. Not one text. Not even a how are you from Ethan. The sitter sent daily photos. Mia holding up a drawing of our house with big red hearts. Noah asleep with his thumb in his mouth and his favorite truck clutched to his chest. I kept those photos open on my phone screen, even when the battery was dying. On day 4, when the fog from the meds lifted a little, I asked for my laptop. The nurse hesitated. You should be resting. I need to rest by doing one thing first. I logged into my banking app. 6 years of automatic transfers looked back at me. Mortgage, $1,800 every first of the month. Car insurance, $450 on the 15th. Ethan's remaining college loans, $600 monthly. Random emergencies. New furnace, Ethan's physical therapy after his knee injury, Mom's unexpected dental work. I canceled them all, one click at a time. Then I opened my contacts. Blocked Mom, blocked Dad, blocked Ethan. No big speech, no final message. Just silence where their names used to be. Sarah came by that evening with coffee she wasn't supposed to bring. She sat in the ugly blue chair. Did you do it? She asked quietly. I nodded. For the first time in 6 years, I feel lighter. She didn't cheer. She didn't say good for you. She just reached over and held my hand for a long minute. 3 weeks later, I was home, still taped up, still moving like an old woman, but breathing easier. Mia and Noah were running circles around the living room. I was folding laundry on the couch when 3 soft knocks came at the door. I froze. If it was them, I wasn't sure what I would say. I looked through the peephole. Standing there, silver hair in a neat bun, worn brown eyes behind thin glasses, coat buttoned against the autumn chill, was Grandma Rose, my dad's mother, 81 years young. I hadn't seen her in almost 2.5 years. My parents always said she was too frail for visitors, or we were too busy. I opened the door slowly. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, wrapped me in the softest hug I'd felt in years. Careful of my ribs, but firm enough that I knew she meant it. Elena, my sweet girl, she whispered. I know what happened. All of it. She pulled back, looked me straight in the eyes. I'm having my 80th birthday party next month. Big family gathering at the old house. Everyone will be there. And there are some truths that have waited long enough. She reached into her purse, pulled out a cream envelope. Formal, elegant. You bring whatever records you have. Every transfer, every date. We're going to let the facts speak in front of the whole family. Mia ran up then, tugged Grandma's coat. Hi, lady. Grandma Rose knelt, slowly, and smiled. Hello, beautiful. You look just like your mama when she was little. We sat at my tiny kitchen table. Mia and Noah showed her their toys. She gave them her full attention, then turned to me. I've watched this for a long time, Elena. The way they put Ethan on a pedestal and expected you to hold everything else up underneath. It ends now. She tapped the envelope gently. At the party, no yelling, no drama, just truth. And you deserve to stand in it. What if they hate me after this? Grandma Rose took both my hands. The people who truly love you will stay. The rest were never yours to keep. Okay, I'm going to pause right here. If you've ever been the strong one in your family, the one everyone leaned on, but no one ever caught when you fell, would you type me too in the comments? Or just truth, if that feels safer. I read every single one. It reminds me I'm not the only one who carried too much for too long. And if this story is already pulling at something inside you, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hear how the rest unfolds. Because what happened at that birthday party changed everything. But we'll get there slowly. One honest moment at a time. Just say the word. We'll keep going at this gentle pace. Let me take you back before the crash, before the texts, before I finally saw the pattern for what it was. I grew up in a small house on Maple Street. White siding, red front door. A yard where Ethan and I used to chase fireflies until the streetlights came on. Ethan was 3 years older. He was loud in the best way, the kind of loud that made people turn and smile. When he scored his first touchdown in high school, the whole living room erupted. Mom hugged him so tight, she lifted him off the ground, even though he was already taller than her. Dad took him out for ice cream at midnight, just to celebrate. They posted pictures everywhere, our rising star. When I brought home straight A's from middle school, Mom said, "That's nice, honey. Keep it up." Dad nodded once. Good job. That was the end of the conversation. I didn't mind at first. Ethan's path felt big. College scouts, scholarships, dreams of going pro. Mine felt small and safe. I wanted to help people, specifically kids. The ones who were scared in hospital beds, the way I was scared when I had my tonsils out at 8 and no one explained what was happening. I told them I wanted to be a nurse. Dad smiled a little. Practical choice, steady pay, you'll always have work. Mom added, "That's smart, Elena. Not everyone can handle blood and crying babies. No tears of pride, no we're so proud. Just practical." I told myself it was okay. I liked being the steady one, the one who didn't need fireworks. High school, college on scholarships and loans I paid myself, nursing school at night while working days as a CNA. Graduation came on a gray Tuesday in May. I stood in my navy scrubs under fluorescent lights, diploma shaking in my hands. They arrived 45 minutes late. "Sorry, sweetheart," Mom said, smoothing her hair. "Ethan had a big meeting with an agent. We couldn't miss it." They took one photo, me standing alone between two parked cars, then left. "Congrats again, honey. We love you." 2 months earlier, Ethan signed with a minor league team. The family flew to the draft party. 5-star hotel. Dad posted 30 photos. Our boy made it. Mom cried happy tears on video call with relatives. I kept the parking lot photo in a drawer. Never showed it to anyone. Then the money started. 6 years ago, I got my first full-time nursing job. Decent paycheck for the first time. Dad called one rainy evening. His voice was quiet. "Elena, we're a little tight. Mortgage is due tomorrow. Could you spot us $1,800? Just this once. We'll pay you back." I transferred it that night. No questions. They were my parents. Just this once became every month. Mortgage, $1,800 on the first. Car insurance when Dad lost his job benefits. $450 on the 15th. Ethan's college loans they co-signed. He was figuring things out after the league didn't pan out. $600 monthly. New water heater. Ethan's knee surgery, physical therapy. Mom's emergency crown on her tooth. I set up automatic transfers so they never had to ask again. It felt easier that way. When Mia was born, alone in the delivery room because her father disappeared at 5 months pregnant, I called them from the hospital, exhausted, stitches still fresh, a tiny baby girl in my arms. "Mom, can you come help? Just a few days. I'm scared I won't sleep." "Oh, honey," she said, "we wish we could, but Ethan's got that big interview tomorrow. He's so nervous. We need to be here for moral support." They didn't come. Not for the birth photos, not for the first night home when Mia cried for hours, and I cried with her. But the transfers kept going, every month, like clockwork. I made a simple note in my phone, dates, amounts, a quiet record I never showed anyone. Over 6 years, it added up to more than $210,000. I never asked for a thank you, never expected a parade. I just thought, that's what family does. The strong one carries, the others shine. Until the night the strong one almost broke forever. I came home from the hospital 6 days after surgery. Still wrapped in bandages. Still wincing when I laughed. But the kids were safe. Sarah had helped arrange extra sitter hours. Neighbors dropped off casseroles. Life started to feel possible again. Then the knock came. 3 soft raps on a Saturday afternoon. I opened the door, and there she was. Grandma Rose, 81. Silver hair pinned neatly. Eyes that had seen more than most people ever would. She didn't wait for hello. She stepped in, hugged me gently around the sore parts, and whispered, "I know, Elena. Sarah called me the night of the accident. Then your Aunt Clara filled in the rest." She looked at Mia coloring on the floor, Noah pushing a toy car into the wall. Her face softened. "They're beautiful, just like you were." We sat at the kitchen table. She drank the weak tea I made. I told her everything. The crash, the texts, the years of money flowing one way. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she reached into her purse, pulled out a cream-colored envelope. "My 80th birthday, next month, at the old family house on the lake. Everyone's coming. Your parents, Ethan, cousins, aunts and uncles, the whole circle." She slid the envelope across the table. "I want you there, and I want you to bring something with you." "What?" I asked, voice small. "Every record you have, every transfer, every date, every amount. Print them, put them in a folder. No yelling, no accusations, just facts." My stomach twisted. "Grandma, what if it tears everything apart?" She took my hand. Her skin was soft, paper thin, but her grip was steady. "Some things need to be torn apart so something real can grow in their place. You've carried this family long enough, sweetheart. It's time they carried their own weight." She looked at the kids again, smiled softly. "And these two, they deserve a mama who isn't always running on empty." I nodded slowly, not because I was brave, but because for the first time, I was tired of pretending I wasn't hurting. "Okay, let's pause again. If you've ever kept score in your head, not out of bitterness, but just to remind yourself the numbers are real. If you've ever paid for love that should have been free, type same in the comments, or just a heart. I see you. You're not alone in this. And if you're still here with me, thank you. Hit like if this feels true to your bones. Subscribe if you want to see how the birthday party unfolded, because that day, truth finally had its turn to speak. We'll go there next, slowly, one breath at a time. The envelope from Grandma Rose sat on my kitchen counter for 3 full days before I touched it again. Every time I walked past, I felt it watching me, like it knew I was stalling. Printing those records wasn't hard. I'd kept everything digital. Bank statements, transfer confirmations, even screenshots of the texts from the night of the accident. I opened my laptop one quiet evening after the kids were asleep. The house was silent, except for the hum of the fridge and the soft rain tapping the windows. I sorted the files by date, month by month, year by year. 6 years laid out in neat rows. Mortgage payments, $1,800 times 72 months, equals $129,600. Car and home insurance, $450 times 72 equals $32,400. Ethan's loan payments, $600 times 60 months, he'd paid some himself at first, equals $36,000. Random wires for repairs, therapy, emergencies, another $12,500 or so. Total, $210,500. Give or take a few $100s here and there. Seeing it all together on paper made my stomach turn, not from anger, from tiredness, from realizing how much of my life, my nights, my overtime shifts, my skipped meals so I could afford daycare, had quietly flowed into their comfort. I'd bound the pages in a plain manila folder, no fancy cover, no angry notes in the margins, just numbers, dates, facts. Aunt Clara came over 2 weeks before the party. She's Mom's older sister, 63, divorced, no kids, always the one who spoke when everyone else pretended not to notice. She'd been the black sheep for years because she refused to play along with the perfect family story. She sat at my table with a cup of black coffee, flipped through the folder page by page. Her face got darker with each turn. $210,000, she said when she reached the end. She set the folder down carefully, like it might burn her. Elena, do you understand what this means? I nodded slowly. I know. It's more than I'll probably ever save for the kids' college in the next 10 years. She looked at me for a long time. And they called you dramatic, needy, after you paid their house note while raising 2 babies alone. I pressed my palms flat on the table. I don't want to ruin the family, Aunt Clara. I want them to see it, to feel what it's like to look at the truth without a filter. She reached across and covered my head with hers. You're not ruining anything. You're ending a lie they've all lived in. They built their easy life on your silence. You don't owe them that silence anymore. She paused, then softer. But be ready. They'll try to spin it. They'll say you're attacking them, that you're unstable after the accident. They've already started whispering to cousins. I felt a cold knot in my chest. I know. I got a text from Cousin Leah last week. Heard you and your parents are fighting. Ethan said you've been acting strange since the crash. Just checking if you're okay. Aunt Clara gave a short, dry laugh. They're laying the groundwork, painting you as the problem before you even open your mouth. Classic move. I looked down at the folder. What if everyone believes them? She squeezed my hand. Some will. Family is messy, but Grandma Rose has more weight in that room than anyone, and more importantly, the numbers don't lie. Truth doesn't need volume. It just needs to be said once. The week before the party passed in a blur. Work shifts, preschool drop-offs, bedtime stories with Mia asking why I had bandages under my shirt. Mommy got a big owie in the car, but it's getting better. Every night I practiced in my head, what I would say, what I wouldn't say. I didn't want to yell. I didn't want tears that looked like weakness. I just wanted to stand there and let the folders speak first. Grandma Rose called the night before. Her voice was steady on the speakerphone while I washed dishes. You still coming, sweetheart? Yes, I said. I printed everything. Folders ready. Good. Bring the kids, too. They deserve to be around people who actually celebrate them. And Elena. She paused. Long enough that I stopped scrubbing. You don't have to say much. Just be there. Let the rest happen. You've carried enough alone. I swallowed. Thanks, Grandma. I love you. Love you more. See you tomorrow. I hung up, looked at the folder on the counter, then at the kids' drawings taped to the fridge. Crooked houses, big smiling suns, stick figure families with 4 people instead of 3. I took a deep breath. Tomorrow I would walk into that big lake house with white columns and a wraparound porch. Tomorrow the whole family would be there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, my parents, Ethan. Tomorrow the truth would finally sit at the table with us. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to shrink, so someone else could shine brighter. Okay, we're getting close now. I can feel my own heart beating faster just telling this part. If you've ever had to prepare yourself to face people who raised you, people who should have protected you, but instead made you feel small, type here for it in the comments, or just ready. I need to know you're still with me. And if this story is starting to feel like it's yours too, please hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when we all sit down at that party. Because tomorrow in the story is the day the quiet one finally spoke. But we'll take it slow. The drive to Grandma Rose's lake house took 40 minutes. Rain had stopped, but the sky stayed heavy and gray. Mia and Noah were in the back seat, buckled in, chattering about the big party house and whether there would be cake. I kept both hands on the wheel. The manila folder sat on the passenger seat like a sleeping animal. The house appeared at the end of a long gravel drive. White columns, wide porch wrapped around like open arms. Cars lined both sides, more than I expected. 40, maybe 50 people already inside. The whole extended family. Aunts who used to pinch my cheeks. Uncles who told the same fishing stories every summer. Cousins I hadn't seen since weddings and funerals. I parked at the far end, took a slow breath, unbuckled the kids. Mia held my hand tight. Noah clung to my leg. I carried the folder tucked under my arm like it was just another diaper bag. We stepped inside. The smell hit first. Roasted turkey, fresh bread, coffee, cinnamon. Laughter floated from the living room. A string quartet played soft music in the corner. Waiters in black vests carried trays of champagne and little appetizers. I saw them almost immediately. Mom and Dad near the fireplace. Mom in a pale blue dress, smiling at someone's joke. Dad in his good gray suit, nodding along. Ethan stood a few feet away, phone in hand, laughing at something on the screen. He looked relaxed, like nothing had changed. They noticed me at the same second. Mom's smile froze. Dad's shoulders stiffened. Ethan glanced up, then back down at his phone, quick, like he didn't want to commit to seeing me. Grandma Rose appeared from the hallway. She wore a soft cream sweater set, silver hair shining under the chandelier. She walked straight to me, wrapped me and the kids in a careful hug. "My brave girl," she whispered so only I could hear. "You're here. That's enough for now." She took Noah's hand, led us toward the big dining room where a long table was set for dinner later. People turned, smiled, some came over to hug me. "Elena, so good to see you. Look at these little ones." A few eyes lingered on the folder under my arm. They knew something was coming. I stayed quiet, answered questions about work, about the kids, about how I was healing after the accident. I kept my voice even, no edge, just honest. Then the speeches started. Grandma Rose stood at the head of the room, clinked a glass gently. The music stopped. Everyone quieted. "Thank you all for coming," she began. Her voice carried without effort. Years of teaching Sunday school and running family meetings. 80 years is a long time to watch people grow, and sometimes watch them forget what matters. She paused, looked around the room slowly. "I invited everyone here today, not just to celebrate a birthday, but to remember something simple. Family isn't about who shines brightest. It's about who shows up when the light goes out." She turned her eyes to my parents, then to Ethan, then to me. "Elena," she said gently, "would you come stand beside me, please?" My heart slammed against my ribs. I handed Noah to Aunt Clara, who had appeared at my side. Mia stayed close, holding my dress. I walked forward. The folder felt heavier with every step. Grandma Rose placed a hand on my shoulder, warm, steady. "Some of you may have heard whispers," she continued, "that Elena's been distant, that she's acting out after her accident, that she's cut off her parents and brother without reason." Murmurs rippled through the room, a few nods, pitying looks toward Mom and Dad. Grandma Rose raised one hand. Quiet returned instantly. "I'd like to correct the story," she said. "Not with anger, not with blame, with facts." She nodded to me. I opened the folder. My hands didn't shake. I pulled out the first summary page, the totals in black and white. "For the past 6 years," I began, voice low but clear, "I've paid my parents' mortgage, every month. $1,800. Their car and home insurance, $450. Ethan's remaining college loans, $600. Repairs, emergencies, therapy after his injury. Total, just over $210,000. I laid the page on the table in front of me. Let it sit there. The room went still, completely still. I kept going, calm, no rush. I never asked to be paid back, never asked for thanks. I thought that's what family did. The one who could, helped. I looked at my parents. Mom's face had gone pale. Dad stared at the floor. Ethan shifted, uncomfortable. "Then 2 months ago," I said, "I was in a serious car accident. Internal injuries. On the way to surgery, I called from the ambulance, asked for help with Mia and Noah, just for a few hours. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshot Sarah had saved for me, held it up so the nearest people could see. Mom's text appeared large on the screen. Elena, you've always been so dramatic and needy. We have front row tickets to Ethan's championship game tonight. Figure it out yourself. Dads, don't turn it into a bigger crisis than it is. Ethan's shrug emoji. I set the phone down gently. I arranged a sitter, paid triple, went into surgery alone, spent 6 days in the hospital. No visits, no calls, nothing. Silence stretched, heavy. Someone in the back let out a soft, "Oh my God." Grandma Rose spoke next, her voice still gentle, but kind. "I've watched this pattern for decades," she said. Ethan on the pedestal, Elena holding everything underneath so it didn't fall. She never complained, never asked for her turn, until the night she almost didn't get another turn. She looked around the room, at aunts, uncles, cousins. "Now I'm asking you all something simple. Look at the numbers, look at the texts, look at the woman who kept giving, and ask yourself, is this how we treat family?" No one answered. No one moved. Ethan finally spoke. Quiet, defensive. "Elena, we didn't know it was that much. You never said anything." I met his eyes. I shouldn't have had to. Mom started crying, soft at first, then harder. Dad put an arm around her, but he didn't look at me. I took one step back. Mia ran to me. I picked her up, held her close. "I'm not here to destroy anything," I said. "I'm here because Grandma asked me to come, and because for 32 years, I believed if I gave enough, I'd finally be seen." That night in the ambulance, I realized I was never going to be seen. Not the way Ethan is, not the way I needed. I looked at Grandma Rose. She gave the smallest nod. "I'm done carrying what isn't mine," I finished. Quietly. "I love you all, but I love my children more, and they deserve a mother who isn't always running on empty." The room stayed silent for what felt like forever. Then Aunt Clara started clapping. Slow, deliberate. One by one others joined. Not cheering, just acknowledgement. Grandma Rose raised her glass. "To truth," she said, "and to the courage it sometimes takes to speak it." Glasses lifted. Not everyone, but enough. Mom and Dad left early, quietly. Ethan followed without a word. No big fight, no screaming, just the end of pretending. "Okay, I need to breathe here for a second." If you've ever had to say the hardest words in the quietest voice, if you've ever chosen yourself in a room full of people who expected you to stay small, type "I felt that" in the comments, or just truth. And if you're still here, thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Hit like if this moment landed where it was supposed to. Subscribe if you want to see what happened after they walked out. Because the story doesn't end here. It just begins to feel different. We'll go there next. Gently, one day at a time. The aftermath, when the quiet settles and life begins again. The party didn't end right after I spoke. People didn't rush out or start yelling. It just shifted. The string quartet started playing again, softer. Some folks came over to me quietly. An aunt I haven't seen in years touched my arm and whispered, "I had no idea, Elena. I'm so sorry." A cousin, the one who'd texted me weeks earlier with Ethan's version of events, hugged me tight. "I believed the wrong story. I should have asked you." Grandma Rose stayed close the whole evening. She didn't gloat. She didn't lecture. She just made sure Mia and Noah had cake, balloons, and someone to play with. She let the room breathe. My parents left about 30 minutes after I finished speaking. Mom was still crying. Not dramatic sobs, just steady tears that wouldn't stop. Dad helped her to the car, his face blank, like someone had turned off the lights inside him. Ethan walked out last. He didn't look back. No goodbye, no apology, just the sound of the front door closing behind them. The rest of the night passed in a strange, gentle blur. People talked in small groups. Some left early. Some stayed late, sitting on the porch with coffee, sharing memories that didn't involve pedestals or burdens. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty in a good way. Like I'd finally put down a suitcase I'd been dragging since I was 18. The next few days were quiet. My phone buzzed more than usual. Texts from relatives I'd barely remembered. "I'm proud of you. I'm sorry we didn't see it sooner. I always wondered why you never asked for help. Now I know why you didn't." The family group chat, the one where Mom's words had cut deepest, went silent for a week. Then someone deleted it entirely. No announcement. It just vanished. 2 weeks later, Aunt Clara called. She sounded almost amused. "Your parents put the house on the market." I was folding laundry. Mia was napping. Noah was stacking blocks in the corner. I stopped mid-fold. "The house?" "Yeah, they can't keep up the mortgage without your help. Word is they're moving into Uncle Frank's guest house for a while. Conditional. They both need jobs, real ones." Dad hadn't worked full-time in years, early retirement at 54. Mom had never held a job outside the home. They'd lived comfortably on what I sent and what little Ethan contributed when he felt like it. Now the math didn't add up anymore. "What about Ethan?" I asked quietly. Clara gave a short laugh. "He's been crashing on friends' couches. Lost his latest coaching gig. Word travels fast in small circles. Someone from the family mentioned the party. Reputation matters more than people admit." I didn't feel glee. I didn't feel revenge. I felt tired and a little sad. Not for what they were losing, but for what they never built. That same week I sat down with my budget. The $3,200 or so I used to send every month now had a new home. One for Mia, one for Noah. College funds, emergency cushions, things that would grow for them, not shrink for someone else. It felt like justice, quiet justice. 3 months after the party, Grandma Rose started picking the kids up every other Sunday. She'd take them to the park, the library, sometimes just to her house for cookies and stories. She'd bring them back with sticky fingers and sleepy eyes. "They're good kids," she told me once. "You're raising them with love that doesn't come with strings. That's rare." Aunt Clara became a regular too. Dinner twice a month. She helped with bedtime when I had late shifts. She never asked for anything back. She just showed up. Sarah, my friend from the ward, kept checking in, brought soup when the kids were sick, sat with me on the couch after rough shifts, and let me talk, or not talk, just sit. My parents tried once, a voicemail from a new number, Mom's voice small and cracked. "Elena, we need to talk. This has all gotten so out of hand. Your dad is struggling. I'm struggling. Can we just move past it?" I listened once, then deleted it. Forgiveness isn't a button you push to reset everything. It's a door, and I wasn't ready to open it yet. Maybe someday, but not on their timeline. Ethan called once too, late at night. His voice was different, smaller, less sure. "Elena, I'm sorry. For the shrug emoji, for everything. I didn't realize how much you were doing. I just liked being the one who got the attention." I let him finish. Then I said, "I know. Start there. Figure out who you are without the spotlight. When you do, maybe we can talk." I hung up. No anger, just boundaries. 6 months after the accident, 1 year almost to the day, I moved us to a small 2-bedroom apartment closer to the hospital. Good school district. Playground across the street. No extra rooms for guests who never came. Just space for us. The rent was mine to pay. The utilities were mine. The peace was ours. Every evening I watched the sunset from the kitchen window while Mia and Noah ate dinner. They laughed more now. I laughed more now. I wasn't running on empty anymore. If you stayed with me this far, thank you. Truly. I want to leave you with something small I learned the hard way. Love isn't earned by how much you can carry for other people. It isn't a reward for silence or sacrifice. Real love shows up in ambulances, in hospital rooms, in quiet kitchens when no one's watching. And if the people who are supposed to love you freely make you feel like a burden for needing them, it's okay to stop proving your worth. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to let the suitcase drop. You're not selfish. You're not ungrateful. You're just free. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever had to redraw the lines around your heart, would you drop a comment? Tell me where you're watching from, what time it is there, or just type boundaries if that word feels right tonight. I read everyone. It makes me feel less alone. Hit like if you stayed till the end. Subscribe if you want more real stories, the kind where people finally choose themselves. This was my story. Thank you for listening. Take care of your heart. It deserves it. 1 year later, the quiet that feels like home. It's been 1 full year since the accident. 1 year since that rainy night when the truck crossed the line and everything else crossed with it. 1 year since I lay in the ambulance bleeding, reading those texts, and decided, quietly, finally, that enough was enough. Mia is 5 now. Noah is 3. They don't remember the hospital days. They don't remember the nights I came home taped up and moving slow. What they remember is pancakes on Saturdays, park trips with Grandma Rose, and Mommy who doesn't disappear into her phone anymore because she's not waiting for a call that never comes. We still live in the little 2-bedroom apartment near the hospital. The walls are covered in their drawings, suns with happy faces, houses with 4 stick figures holding hands, rainbows that stretch from one corner to the other. There's no extra guest room, no space set aside for people who might show up someday. Just room for us, for laughter, for quiet evenings where the only sounds are pages turning in storybooks and little breaths slowing into sleep. My shifts are still long. Pediatric ward never slows down, but I come home lighter. I don't check my phone every 10 minutes hoping for a "how are you" that never arrives. The money that used to leave my account like clockwork now stays. Mia's college fund has a nice round number growing in it. Noah's too. I opened a small emergency account just for me, something I never had before. It's not much yet, but it's mine. No strings, no guilt. Grandma Rose comes every other weekend without fail. She brings cookies. She pretends she didn't bake herself. She reads the same picture books 3 times in a row because Noah asks. She tells Mia stories about me when I was little, the real ones, not the polished version my parents used to tell. She was always the helper, Grandma says, looking at me over the kids' heads. But now she's learning how to let others help her too. Aunt Clara moved closer last spring. She bought a small condo 10 minutes away. She picks up the kids from preschool when I have late shifts. She brings dinner in Tupperware labeled, "Eat this, don't argue." We sit on my tiny balcony sometimes after the kids are asleep, sharing tea in silence. She never says "I told you so." She just says "I'm proud of you," every once in a while, like it's the most natural thing in the world. Sarah, my friend from work, is still my lifeline on the hard days. We grab coffee in the cafeteria, between codes and crying babies. She never lets me apologize for leaning on her. "You carried everyone else for years," she says. "Now it's your turn to be carried a little." My parents, they're still at Uncle Frank's guest house. Dad works part-time at a hardware store now. Mom does bookkeeping for a small church twice a week. They stopped calling after the 3rd voicemail went unanswered. No holiday cards last Christmas. No birthday texts. Just quiet. Ethan reached out once more 6 months ago. A short message. "I got a steady job at a gym, coaching kids. It's not much, but it's mine. I'm trying to figure things out. I miss you. I miss the kids." I stared at the words for a long time. Then I replied, short, honest. "I'm glad you're trying. When you figured more out, maybe we can talk." But not before. He didn't push. No follow-up guilt trips. No dramatic promises. Just silence again. This time the silence feels different. It's not empty. It's space. Sometimes I wonder if they think about me. If Mom remembers the parking lot photo at my nursing graduation. If Dad ever adds up the numbers and feels the weight. If Ethan ever looks at his phone and sees the shrug emoji he sent while I was bleeding out. I don't know. And strangely, I don't need to know anymore. Those questions used to live rent-free in my head. Now they visit sometimes, but they don't stay the night. Last week, Mia asked me why we don't see Grandma and Grandpa like her friend at school does. I sat on the floor with her, brushed her hair behind her ear, and said the truest thing I could. Some families look different, baby. Ours has Grandma Rose and Aunt Clara and Sarah who feels like family. And you and Noah and me, we're the family that shows up. That's what matters most. She nodded like it made perfect sense, then hugged me so tight my ribs, the ones that still ache when it rains, didn't hurt at all. If you've walked this far with me, thank you, from the deepest part of me. 1 year ago, I thought losing them would break me. Instead, it gave me room to breathe, room to be the mother my kids need, room to be the woman I was always allowed to be, just not by the people who raised me. The lesson isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's quiet, like a door closing softly behind you. You don't have to keep paying for love that should have been free. You don't have to stay small so others can feel tall. You don't have to wait forever for apologies that may never come. You can choose peace. You can choose yourself. And when you do, the world doesn't end. It just begins to feel like home. If this year later piece landed softly for you, if you've ever rebuilt after letting go, would you share a tiny piece in the comments? A word, a feeling, where I'm watching from, what time it is there, or just healing if that's what you're feeling tonight. I read them all. They remind me why I keep telling these stories. Hit like if you stay till the very end. Subscribe if you want more long, real, heart-first stories, the kind where people find their way back to themselves, one quiet choice at a time. This was my story, 1 year later. Thank you for listening. Take care of the person you're becoming. She deserves every gentle thing. 2 years later, the life that grew when I stopped carrying. 2 years. 2 full years since the night the rain came down hard and the world tilted sideways. 2 years since I read those words in the ambulance, and something inside me said, clear as a bell, no more. Mia is 6 now. She started first grade last fall. She comes home every day with stories about her teacher, her new best friend, and the playground game she invented called Rainbow Tag. Noah is 4. He's obsessed with trucks. The louder the better. He drags them across the living room floor in long convoys, making engine noises that echo down the hallway. I watch them from the kitchen sometimes, coffee in hand, and think, this is what peace looks like. Not dramatic, not loud. Just here. We're still in the same apartment. We've painted one wall in the kids' room a soft lavender because Mia said it felt like sleeping inside a cloud. There are new drawings taped up every week. Stick figures of the 3 of us holding hands under big yellow suns. Sometimes there's a 4th figure now, Grandma Rose with her silver bun and her cookie apron. Sometimes Aunt Clara with her glasses and her coffee mug. Sometimes Sarah, who they call Auntie Sarah from the hospital because she brings stickers and lets them listen to her stethoscope. The college funds are growing, not fast, but steady. I added automatic transfers from every overtime shift. There's a small vacation jar on the counter too. Coins and crumpled bills we drop in whenever we can. We're saving for a trip to the beach next summer. Just the 3 of us. Sand between toes. Waves. No one else is scheduled to match. Grandma Rose turned 82 last month. We threw her a small party at her lake house, the same one where everything came out 2 years ago. No big crowd this time. Just us. Clara, Sarah, a few cousins who stayed close after the dust settled. Grandma wore the same cream sweater set. She hugged me longer than usual. You did it, sweetheart, she whispered against my hair. You built something real. She still picks the kids up every other Sunday. They come back with stories, full bellies, and glitter on their cheeks from whatever craft she dreamed up that week. She never mentions my parents unless I ask, and I rarely ask. Aunt Clara is engaged now. His name is Daniel. He's quiet, kind, a high school history teacher who brings her coffee every morning before work. They're planning a small wedding next spring. Backyard, string lights, just family and a few friends. She asked me to stand with her. Sarah got promoted. She's charge nurse on our floor now. We still meet in the cafeteria between shifts. She still knows when I need silence more than words. Last week, she said, "You look different lately." I asked how. She smiled, like you're finally home in your own skin. My parents, they moved out of Uncle Frank's guest house about 8 months ago. Clara told me they rented a small apartment downtown. Dad works full-time at the hardware store now, assistant manager. Mom does part-time admin for a community center. They're making it work, on their own. I don't know if they've changed. I don't know if they've added up the years, the dollars, the nights I waited for them to show up. I don't know if they miss us, if they regret the shrug emoji, the dramatic and needy, the parking lot photo instead of celebration. And for the first time, I'm okay not knowing. Ethan sent one message 3 months ago. A photo of him coaching a group of 8-year-olds on a soccer field. Kids laughing, him kneeling in the grass giving high fives. The caption, "First win of the season, thought of you and the kids." I looked at it for a long time. Then I saved the photo, not for nostalgia, but because it looked like he might finally be building something of his own. I didn't reply. Not yet, but I didn't delete it either. That felt like enough space for now. Last weekend we went to the park. Just me, Mia, Noah, and a picnic blanket. Mia ran ahead to the swings. Noah toddled after her with his truck clutched tight. I sat on the grass, sun warm on my face, and watched them. No phone in my hand waiting for a text that wouldn't come. No mental tally of who owed who what. Just the sound of their laughter mixing with the wind. Mia came running back out of breath. "Mommy, push me higher." I stood up, pushed the swing. Higher, higher. Her hair flying, her giggles rising like music. Noah climbed into my lap when I sat back down. He rested his head on my shoulder. "Love you, Mommy." I kissed the top of his head. "Love you more, baby." And in that moment, simple, ordinary, perfect, I understood something I'd been learning slowly for 2 years. When you stop carrying what was never yours to hold, you don't just survive. You grow. You breathe deeper. You laugh louder. You become the safe place for the people who matter most. You become the family you always wished you had. If you've stayed through all 7 parts, through the crash, the confrontation, the silence, the healing, the quiet rebuilding, thank you, from every corner of my heart. This isn't a fairy tale. There's no big reunion scene, no tearful apologies on doorsteps, just life. Real, messy, beautiful life. The lesson I carry now isn't complicated. It's this: you are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to stop proving your love with your wallet, your time, your silence. You are allowed to say, "I choose me," and still be a good person, a good mother, a good daughter to the family that showed up when it counted. If any part of this long story echoed in your chest, if you've ever had to redraw the map of who gets your energy, would you leave a small note in the comments? A word that feels true right now. Peace, healing, free, or just tell me where you are tonight. What time, what city. I read every single one. They remind me why these stories matter. Hit like if Elena's journey felt like it could be yours too. Subscribe if you want more long, slow, heart-open stories, the kind that don't rush the ending, because real healing never does. This was my story. 2 years later. Thank you for walking every step with me. Go gently with yourself tonight. You've earned it. 5 years later. The family we chose, not the one we were given. 5 years. 5 full years since the rain-soaked night that cracked everything open. 5 years since I lay on that stretcher, reading words that should never have been sent to a daughter bleeding out, and whispered to myself, "That's the last time I begged for love that was supposed to be free." Mia is 9 now. She's tall for her age, all legs and curiosity. She reads chapter books faster than I can keep up with, asks questions about the stars that make me Google things at midnight, and still draws pictures of our little family. 3 stick figures under a rainbow, sometimes with Grandma Rose's silver bun added in the corner like a happy moon. Noah is 7. He's quieter than his sister, but when he laughs, it fills the whole apartment. He builds Lego cities that take over the living room for days, names every truck in his collection, and tells me every night before bed, "You're the best mommy in the whole world." I believe him now. I really do. We moved last year. Not far. Just a small 3-bedroom house on a quiet street 10 minutes from the hospital. White fence, a backyard big enough for a swing set, and a vegetable garden Mia insisted we plant. Tomatoes, basil, sunflowers that grow taller than Noah some summers. The mortgage is mine. The repairs are mine. The peace inside these walls is ours. No extra bedroom kept empty just in case. No space reserved for apologies that never arrived. My nursing career shifted too. I'm still on the pediatric floor, but I took a part-time educator role last year, teaching new nurses how to hold space for scared families, how to stay calm when the monitors scream, how to remember that behind every chart is a child who just wants their mommy or daddy to say, "It's going to be okay." I come home earlier most days. I'm there for homework, for scraped knees, for the small moments that used to slip through my fingers when I was always running to fill someone else's gaps. Grandma Rose turned 85 in October. We celebrated at the lake house again. Quiet, like always. She still bakes cookies, though her hands shake a little now. She still reads to the kids, though her voice is softer. She still looks at me across the table and says the same thing every time. "You kept your promise to yourself, Elena. You stopped carrying what wasn't yours." She's frailer these days. We go to her more often. The kids help her in the garden, water her roses, listen to stories about the old days, the real ones, where love wasn't ranked or measured. She never asks about my parents. She doesn't need to. She knows I've made my peace with the distance. Aunt Clara and Daniel got married 3 years ago. Small backyard ceremony, string lights, Mia scattered petals. Noah carried the rings on a pillow he insisted had to be superhero blue. Clara still hosts dinner twice a month. Daniel tells dad jokes that make Noah giggle until milk comes out his nose. They're family, the kind that shows up without being asked. Sarah is married now too. Her wife Lena is a teacher. They have a little girl, Sophia, who's 2, and calls me Auntie Elena. We do playdates on weekends. 4 kids running wild in the backyard, while we sit on the porch with coffee, talking about nothing and everything. Sarah still knows when I need quiet. She still reminds me, you're not the strong one anymore because you have to be. You're strong because you chose to be. My parents, they're still in that small downtown apartment. Clara keeps me updated when I ask, which isn't often. Dad retired fully last year after a knee replacement. Mom still does part-time work at the community center. They don't reach out. No calls, no letters, no holiday cards with forced smiles. The silence has become permanent. Not angry silence, just absence. I don't hate them. I don't wish them harm. I simply don't carry their story anymore. It's theirs to live. 10 years. A full decade since the night the rain hammered the roof of the ambulance, and the words on my phone screen felt sharper than any broken glass. 10 years since I chose, in the haze of pain meds and fear, to stop auditioning for a love that kept changing the rules. Mia is 14 now, tall like her father might have been, but with my eyes and my stubborn quiet when she's thinking hard. She's in high school, plays clarinet in the band, writes poetry in a notebook she doesn't let anyone read yet. Last month, she came home from school and asked me, "Mom, why don't we have big family Thanksgivings like my friends?" I sat her down at the kitchen table, the same one we've had since the apartment days, and told her the truth, not the polished version, the real one, about the accident, about the texts, about the birthday party where numbers and silence spoke louder than tears, about how sometimes love gets tangled in expectations and scorecards, and the bravest thing you can do is untangle yourself so you can breathe. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long minute. Then she said, "I'm glad you chose us instead of trying to fix them." She hugged me, the kind of hug that lasts longer when you're a teenager and you mean it. I like our Thanksgivings better anyway. Just us, Grandma Rose, Aunt Clara's family, Auntie Sarah's crew. It feels honest. Noah is 12. Still loves trucks, but now he builds them with circuits and motors from a robotics club. He's thoughtful in a way that surprises me sometimes. Asks questions like, "Mom, do you ever miss the people who weren't there?" I tell him the truth every time. I used to, a lot. Now I miss the version of them I hoped they could be. But missing a hope isn't the same as missing a person who chose not to show up. He nods like he understands more than a 12-year-old should. Then he hugs me from the side, quick, boyish, but real, and goes back to his latest project. I watch him and think, this is what happens when kids grow up seeing their mother choose herself. They learn it's safe to do the same. The house is fuller now. 3 bedrooms became 4 when we added a sunroom that doubles as my reading nook, and Noah's robotics workspace. The backyard has a vegetable garden that Mia still tends. She says it's therapeutic. A basketball hoop where Noah practices free throws until dark, and a small patio where we sit most evenings with iced tea and fireflies. The mortgage is ahead of schedule. The college funds are healthy. There's even a small travel fund. We went to the beach last summer, just the 3 of us, and stayed an extra week because no one had to rush back for anyone else's game or event. Grandma Rose is 90 now. She lives with us half the year. The winters mostly when the lake house feels too big and too cold. She has her own room with a view of the garden. She still bakes cookies, though we help more now. She still tells stories, though her memory skips sometimes. When she forgets a detail, she laughs and says, "Well, the heart remembers the important parts." She and Mia read together every afternoon she's here. Classics, poetry, whatever Mia picks. Noah sits on the floor building Lego while they read aloud. I listen from the kitchen and feel something settle deep in my chest. This is legacy. Not money, Not big houses, just time, attention, presence. Aunt Clara and Daniel are still married, still laughing at his terrible jokes. They have a dog now, a golden retriever named Scout, who thinks he's a lapdog. Sarah and Lena have 2 kids. Sophia is 7, and little Mateo just turned 4. We do joint birthdays, joint picnics, joint everything. Our chosen family grew roots, while the old one quietly faded. My parents. Clara told me last year they moved to a senior apartment complex outside town, assisted living on 1 floor. Dad's knee never really recovered. Mom's arthritis got worse. They don't work anymore. They don't reach out. I don't either. The silence is complete now. Not hostile, just final, like a chapter that ended without fanfare. Ethan, he's still coaching, built a small nonprofit for underprivileged kids in sports. He married a woman named Priya 3 years ago, a physical therapist who works with injured athletes. They have a son, Liam, who just turned 1. Ethan sent me a photo last Christmas, him, Priya, and the baby under a tree. No message, just the picture. I looked at it for a long time. Liam has Ethan's smile. I saved the photo in a folder called Maybe Someday. I haven't replied yet, but I haven't deleted it either. Time moves slow on that bridge, and that's okay. Last week, Mia asked if she could write a letter to her grandparents, the one she's never met. Not to send, just to write, to understand. She sat at the table for hours. When she finished, she let me read it. It wasn't angry. It wasn't pleading. It was honest. Dear Grandma and Grandpa, I don't know you, but I know my mom loved you once. She gave a lot so you could be comfortable. Then one day she almost died, and you weren't there. She chose us instead. I'm glad she did. I hope you're okay wherever you are. Maybe one day we'll meet. But if we don't, that's okay too, because we already have a family that shows up. Love, Mia. I cried when I read it. Quiet tears, the kind that wash things clean. I hugged her and said, you can keep it, or burn it, or save it for later, whatever feels right. She folded it carefully and put it in her journal. I think I'll keep it, she said, so I remember what choosing yourself looks like. 10 years later, I don't think about the accident every day anymore. I don't replay the texts in my head. The scar on my abdomen is fade silver now. A reminder, not a wound. What stays is this: a daughter who writes honest letters, a son who builds things with care, a home filled with laughter that doesn't have to be earned, a grandmother who still holds my hand like I'm her little girl, friends who became family without blood or obligation, and me, finally at home in my own life, not perfect, not without missing pieces, but whole, chosen, free. If you followed this story from the ambulance to this quiet decade later, thank you. With everything I have, you've witnessed a life that learned, slowly, painfully, beautifully, that love isn't a debt to be paid. It's a gift freely given, or it isn't love at all. The last thing I want to say, if you're still carrying something heavy that was never yours, put it down when you're ready. The world won't end. It will just make room for the life you were always meant to live. Drop a word in the comments if this landed somewhere deep tonight. Whole, free, home. Or tell me the time and place you're listening from. I still read every one. They keep me company on quiet evenings. Hit like if these 10 years felt worth the journey. Subscribe if you want more stories that unfold slowly, because real change never hurries. This was my story. 10 years later. Thank you for every breath you shared with me. Go wrap your arms around the people and the self who stayed. 20 years. A whole lifetime folded into 2 decades since that rainy Thursday when the world narrowed to an ambulance siren, a cracked phone screen, and 3 short messages that finally told the truth louder than any apology ever could. Mia is 24 now. She graduated college last spring. Nursing, of course. Pediatric track, just like her mom. She works on the same children's ward where I spent most of my career. She's gentle with the scared ones, steady when the parents are falling apart, and she always remembers to call me on her breaks. Mom, I had a kid today who reminded me of Noah at that age. Same stubborn chin when he was scared. We laugh about it. We cry about it sometimes too. Quiet tears over coffee when she tells me how much she understands now why I chose the way I did. Noah is 22. He's finishing his engineering degree, robotics and automation. He builds things that help people, prosthetic arms for kids, adaptive toys for children with motor challenges. He still names every project after a truck from his childhood collection. He moved out last year, a small apartment near campus, but he comes home every Sunday for dinner. He brings groceries. He fixes the leaky faucet without being asked. He hugs me longer than he used to when he was a boy. Love you, Mom. Thanks for showing me what showing up looks like. The house is quieter these days. The kids' rooms are guest rooms now, but the drawings never came down. They're framed in the hallway like art. The vegetable garden still blooms every summer. Mia tends it when she visits. The swing set is gone, replaced by a small deck where Grandma Rose used to sit. She passed 4 years ago, peacefully in her sleep, 96 years young. We buried her under the roses at the lake house. Mia read a poem she wrote. Noah placed one of his tiny Lego trucks on the casket, so she can drive around up there. We laughed through tears. That's how she would have wanted it. Aunt Clara and Daniel are retired now. They travel, small trips, nothing flashy. They send postcards from places with funny names. Sarah and Lena moved to a bigger place upstate last year, more room for grandkids someday. Sophia is 17, Mateo 14. They still call me Auntie Elena. We still do joint holidays when schedules allow. My parents. They both passed within 6 months of each other, 3 years ago. Dad first, heart complications. Mom 6 months later, complications from a fall. Clara called to tell me. She asked if I wanted to come to the services. I thought about it for a long night. Then I said no. Not out of anger, not out of spite. Just, there was nothing left to say that hadn't already been said by silence. I sent flowers, white lilies. No card. Clara understood. Ethan, he reached out again 5 years ago. Not a photo this time. A real visit. He drove 4 hours with Priya and Liam, who was 6 then. They stood on my porch. He looked older, tired, but steady. We sat on the deck. Mia and Noah came out, curious, cautious. Liam ran straight to Noah's old Lego bins, like he'd been there before. Ethan didn't ask for forgiveness right away. He just said, I've spent years trying to be the man my son deserves. I learned most of it from watching what you did for your kids, even though I wasn't there to see it. We talked for hours about the money, the texts, the shrug emoji, the pedestal he never asked to be taken off of. He cried once, quiet, ashamed tears. I didn't comfort him. I just listened. When he finished, I said, you can't undo 20 years, but you can start from here. If you want to know your niece and nephew, show up. Consistently. No big gestures. He did. Every few months at first. Then more often. Liam calls Mia Cousin M, and Noah Uncle No. They play video games together when they visit. Priya and I became friends. Slow, careful friends who understand what it means to rebuild around old wounds. Last Christmas we all gathered here, my house. Mia cooked. Noah built a gingerbread robot that actually moved. Ethan carved the turkey. Liam and the younger cousins ran through the house like it was theirs. Priya helped with dishes. We didn't talk about the past that note. We just lived in the present. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't erased, but it was honest, and it was enough. 20 years later, I still have the folder, the one with the bank statements, the screenshots, the totals in black and white. It sits in a drawer now, not hidden, just kept. A reminder that I once carried what wasn't mine, and that I learned how to set it down. The scar on my abdomen is barely visible anymore, a thin silver line. I touch it sometimes when I'm alone, not with regret, with thanks. That night didn't break me. It freed me. Mia asked me last week what I would tell my younger self, the 32-year-old version bleeding in an ambulance, reading those texts. I thought for a moment. Then I said, I'd tell her, you're going to be okay. Not because they'll change, not because they'll come back, but because you'll choose yourself, and that choice will build everything beautiful that comes after. If you've walked every step of these 20 years with me, from the crash to the quiet porch full of grandchildren's laughter, thank you. From the marrow of my bones. This story was never about winning or losing. It was about what happens when a woman stops paying rent in someone else's approval and starts building a home inside her own heart. The final quiet truth. You don't have to wait for permission to love yourself fully. You don't have to keep the door open forever. You can close it gently and still let in the light that wants to stay. Drop one last word in the comments if this long road touched something in you tonight. Enough, home, free. Or just tell me what the clock says where you are. Karachi at 8 p.m. maybe. I still read every single one. They've been my companions through every part. Hit like if these 20 years felt like they mattered. Subscribe if you want more stories that take decades to unfold, because the best ones always do. This was my story, 20 years later. Thank you for holding space for every quiet moment. Go kiss the people who stayed, and kiss your own reflection tonight.